supposed to be down to 74 today. But the cicadas are done, so.
That is pleasant.
Imagine where you'll be at the next time they're back.
Hadn't thought of that.
15 years, 18 years.
17. It's funny to me that they're as old as my oldest son.
Oh.
Oh, Lord, what just happened?
Tim, are we ready, or you still need a few minutes, or?
No, we're ready, sir.
Okay. All right, if the board members can please make sure you got your microphones on again, we'll get started. Okay, the hour being 6:52 PM on Monday, June 24th, 2024, I'd like to call to order the Village of Brookfield Committee of the Whole meeting. Bridget, can we have a roll call for the committee meeting, please?
Trustee Ketchmark?
Here.
Trustee Cote?
Here.
Trustee Hendrick?
Here.
Trustee Niramatsu?
Here.
Trustee Kahuli?
Here.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Here.
President Garvey.
Here. Thank you, Bridget. The first item we have on the Committee of the Whole is a presentation from Visit Oak Park. Annie Coakley, the Executive Director, presented to the Economic Development Commission on May 14th about the benefits, explaining the benefits of continuing to partner together and some of the recent successes we've had that I think the board's been very familiar with. But we asked her to come out tonight and make a presentation to the village board and talk about opportunities to partnership going forward, and we'll talk about the recommendation from the Economic Development Commission. So, Annie, I'd like to turn it over to you at this point. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening, President Garvey, Clerk Weber, and village trustees, and all of you. Like you said, my name is Annie Coakley, and I'm the Executive Director of Visit Oak Park. Oh, okay. So we are a certified tourism bureau by the state of Illinois. We are certified by about 20 communities, including Brookfield. And our work really is to promote communities and businesses in our service area. Destination promotion is for the benefit and well-being of every person in a community. It is an essential investment, I always screw that up, to develop opportunities and build on the quality of life for the people that live here. Our industry is constantly pointing to the jobs that are created, pardon me, the local spending that's generated, the local tax revenue that economic activity that is generated. There we go. And we do all this because it starts with a visit. So in the tourism world, it is often referred to as the first dance of economic development. No one moves to a community, or hardly anyone, that hasn't visited it first, or opens a business in a community that they haven't visited. So it starts with a visit, and that continues to grow the circle here that you can see in further investments. So people that move here may open a business here, and then more people move and more people open businesses, and then you have a really thriving community. Every community, oh, I'm sorry. We recently finished a strategic plan, and this is now our adopted mission statement. Visit Oak Park is a leader in promoting the unique communities and cultures and experiences in Chicago's western suburbs. So every community is competing against every other community for their share of the world's attention. We are surrounded by destination marketing organizations, or DMOs, with greater resources than Visit Oak Park. So choose Chicago, I mean, $30 million annual budget. We obviously can't compete with that. But our other neighbors, DuPage, Rosemont, Heritage Corridor, they have bigger staffs and bigger budgets. We hope to be in their company someday, but before we are very strategic in how we approach everything that we do for advertising and promotion. Our strategy for 2024, our approach, is to provide more marketing on or more reporting on our metrics, engage more with our community partners, produce more product development, so itineraries and FOMO creation, create more content than our competitors create, work with social media influencers, and provide PR training for our communities to learn how to work with our PR team. Everything we do starts with data. We track our website and social media analytics. We use keyword research, and we track visits to the area with tourism-focused data called Tourism Economics. It's a platform that we have access to through our relationship with Cook County. And then we use that data to help us meet the visitor where they're at. The visitor is always at the center of everything we do, and we use the flywheel strategy. It's getting a little wonky into the weeds here, but it's the same strategy that Amazon uses, so it's obviously working for them, right? And the 3 stages of that are to attract, engage, and delight. So we want to attract and engage and delight a visitor or potential visitor to come to this region and spend their money. We invest in blogs, videos, social media, and our PR team to help us make people aware of the region and the things that there are to do here. Keyword research helps us catch them in the consideration stage. So we're always trying to reach the decision maker in every household. When you're trying to figure out what you're going to do for the weekend, we want to be in the position to make them want to come to this region. And how we do that is through content. These are a couple of samples of content, blogs, essentially they're blogs, or articles that included Brookfield in the last couple of months. We put 3 blogs out a week, and no other DMO is doing that. They might write 1 or 2 for the whole month, and we have 12 out. And the reason we do that is because 93% of our website traffic is coming from these blogs. Like I said, we use all of this research, so we use SEO and targeted high-volume content strategy to become the information authority. So we want to outrank Yelp and other sites that people usually go to, and we've been pretty successful at that. I can show you on another slide. So this is really our special sauce. The content strategy is our special sauce. And we use this optimized content. We find people where they are before they make that decision, and we hope to influence them in a certain way. So this is just SEO results from April. And 67,000 people came to our site from this month only because of the blogs. And then to get into like the SERP, so that's search engine research page or results page, that from May from last year to April of this year, you can see the orange is where we want to be. That's where we want to. We're in the top 3. We're always on the top 10. If someone were to Google Italian restaurants near Brookfield, we want to be on that first page. But we really want to be in the first, second, or third position, and we are continuously growing in that direction. So we're doing really well. Our SEO growth from 2022 to 2023 increased by 222%. And in this year, this is 197,000 is our total value in our blogs, meaning that's the ad equivalency value, is already at 197,000. This is also a May number. This is like kind of unprecedented. We can see our blog content versus DuPage, because we have a platform that we look at to see what their value of content is and what ours is, and ours is just incredibly strong. So,
Katie, what does SEO stand for?
Search engine optimization. So an organic search, we're targeting everybody that's searching anything that has to do with anything that's happening in the area through the blogs. We do so much research on the keywords to use, so we use those exact keywords about 10 times in every article, and that's how we are ranking first, second, and third, which is hugely valuable. The other piece that we use that none of our competition uses is a PR firm on retainer for the year. So they pitch to the media every month. They get us a ton of earned media, and by earned media, I mean they're putting us on the news quite frequently. These are some examples of shots that we were able to get for Brookfield businesses. Around town with Annabelle Laval, we were able to secure that. And just in terms of ROI on that specifically, so the ad equivalency of being on that show is $670 for every 30 seconds, and we had 8 minutes of live TV on that show with an audience of 878,000. And we have data that helps us prove that as well. I'm not making this up. I also was hoping, let's hope this works. Just to show you, Oh, wait. Yay. It might make, oh, great. Okay, well, I'm not gonna get too in the weeds here, although I can send you a link to this. This is just for Brookfield. So in 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 earned media, these pages are full of spots that we garnered for the village in itself. I don't know how I go back, maybe here. Okay. Okay, I have a video here. Let's gonna see if we can make this work.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality.
So we had 16 of these made last year, and they are in market with paid advertising. We hope, there's 16 kind of different categories. So there's makers, there's things to do outside, there's street festivals, et cetera. And there we go, back to this. So I just wanted to show you an example of that. And then right now, our summer campaign is 15 weeks of summer with hundreds of reasons to visit. And this is going to a dedicated page talking about and listing hundreds of reasons to come to the region. Our PR team sent this press release through PR Newswire, which went to Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Michigan, Wisconsin, Missouri, Ohio, Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, and Minnesota. And the story was picked up by 293 media outlets with a total viewing audience of 160,993,268. So a lot of people saw and are looking at this page on our website. We're hoping to, kind of create this, again, this FOMO. So you have 15 weekends really in the summer to do everything you want to do. And then here's a little snapshot of our social media. So this is showing you from January to April of this year, but I have year-over-year numbers. So we gained 715 Facebook followers since last May, and our content has gone up 205%, and engagement has increased by 40%, which is great. That means people are really reading what we're looking at, or what we're putting out there. And then we've gained 1,684 Instagram followers since last May, and our amount of content was increased by 300%. We are now on Pinterest. We created that page in January. A lot of people, the decision makers in your, who's deciding what you want to do every weekend or where to go and how to spend your time and money, use Pinterest to make those decisions. So all of our blogs are also on Pinterest. And we've had engagement well over 10,000 on that. We're new to the TikTok game. We're getting there. I have a nice young intern who started 2 weeks ago in my office, and she's providing reels and videos for TikTok as well. And here's another video. So because we are a certified bureau, we have access to things that the state of Illinois Office of Tourism provides, one of which is the Illinois Makers Program. And Warmwick was inducted into their 2023 class of makers, and it came along with this really nice video that anybody can use.
Hi, my name is Yesenia Tejeda, founder of Warmwick, a natural soy wax candle company. Our candles are made from 100% natural soy wax, non-toxic fragrance oils, all zero color dyed, hand-poured in small batches down to our recyclable jars, which are reusable, and so I encourage all my customers to return our jars because we totally reuse them. Our candles are Latin inspired. Most of our candles have Spanish names, but our candles are for everyone. So we have candles like Abuelita Concha, Pumpkin Chorro, Mi Cariño, Un Montón de Amor. Every fragrance that I use inspires me, and it comes from my background. I'm Mexican American, and I want to tell a story through every single candle that I create. I want my customer to make a connection with one of the candles we created. Other than selling our natural soy wax products, our room sprays, and our wax melts, we offer a full candle experience. You can come in, you pour your own wax, you choose your own fragrances. I help you with the whole blending process. process, charcuterie consulted, and everybody gets a treat. What it means to be Illinois made, being prideful, being from Illinois, being from Chicago, being able to be involved in my community, the village of Brookfield, and pride myself on creating candles here naturally and locally.
All right, and I'm missing a photo here. I'm not sure what happened, but we pitched a cicada contest. I was on my couch on a Friday night, unfortunately, where I am usually, and I thought to myself, no one's doing anything with these cicadas. Now, I live in Chicago, and I haven't seen a single cicada yet. So what we, and I know you're maybe
have a
sick
few.
of them. Well, I brought my husband and my dog, at least a couple of times now, out to the forest preserves to hear and see them. We created a blog about this. We were on the news several times. I don't have the numbers for May yet on how well we did in our earned media for this, but we hosted this contest. We had 167 submittals, and we chose our 3 winners already, and it was live. It was best action shot, most colorful, and what was the third one? I came up with this, now I can't remember. Most in one shot, like how many cicadas in like one particular photo. But I also wanted to touch on the fact that one of the things that I noticed when I started this job about last May I started, was the great natural assets that the region has. So you have the river, and you have all of these bike paths and walking trails and the forest preserve system. So we have a partnership with Cook County. They've created a program called Tourism Alive, and they have a separate campaign now called Outside Chicago, and it's promoting anything outside of Chicago, the boundary lines, but also the outdoors. So that advertising is running on that currently. I will also be able to provide you with a report for how that ad campaign is performing as well. We're not in charge of it, they're doing it, and they have a team behind it, but they are, Brookfield is included in all of that campaign as well. And that's really all I have.
Well, thank you. And, your last point about the outdoor experiences and things, I'm glad you hit on that because, and earlier in your mission statement, you mentioned experiences, not just shopping and dining and stuff, experiences, because, we have the world's best canoe launch out here. We have Salt Creek, we have our bike paths, all those things. So, and I think we share a similar view about visits, getting people to visit. We're everything from our, you heard about our concerts on Grand Boulevard and our concerts in the park. We feel if we can get people here and they see our village and see our town and walk by this and see this, we get them to come back. And the bike race was a great example of it last year. We had, it was a lot of just anecdotal, but it's still strong that people were on the 3700 block of Grand for the first time in their life watching a bike race, and they might have been totally engrossed in the bike race and maybe didn't shop or dine that night, but I've had restaurant owners and business owners say people came back and said, I was here for the bike race and I saw your place and I had to come back. So I think we share the same strategy. So, and I know you made a presentation to the Economic Development Commission and there was a recommendation from there. Trustee Ketchmark, is there anything you wanted to add about that, or?
No, we had discussed, when Visit Oak Park was before this board a couple of years ago. I think we had a lot of questions as to what we would get from it, and we didn't really see any early results there. I think the last year has shown us some great results. The Economic Development Commission certainly has seen those and had, positive thoughts on all of it going forward. So, kind of excited for it.
On a final note, because I know it's the elephant in the room, is the name of the organization. And the last time I was here, I said that I had about 6 RFPs on my desk. Well, we have picked a a branding team to help us reimagine the name and, the branding of the organization. And that work will kick off mid-July.
That's great. to
I don't know
hear.
what it's going to be. Oh, I bet, yeah. Not for $5,000.
I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much. I love that it is both featuring Brookfield businesses and the community and tying us into the larger region, right? So making it a destination and just highlighting that. It's great. Yeah. Yeah, the video is really nice, high
Yeah,
quality.
Very professional. Any other board members?
No, I agree. Thank you for the update. It's, I've seen a lot of it online, but it's great to see the numbers and the breadth of even of things that I've missed too. So thank you for sharing that with us and putting so much work into making our community visible.
And just the spread, you know, the things on Channel 9 News, it seemed like Channel 9 News was camped out here for a week or two where it drew a lot of attention. And, you know, a lot of my day job keeps me out west in DuPage County and stuff. I had friends, I saw Brookfield was on Channel 9 News this morning, it was there. And then there's the share and the spread on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, where they, you know, share a video of the TV segment and it spreads, and wow, you know, that was very impressive, and I think that probably had a lot to do with the Economic Development Commission's recommendation. So what, you know, Tim, in terms of board direction or staff, you're looking for direction from the board about making, you know, basically investing that there were.
$5,000 is, I think, what the annual investment is going to be.
Okay. And will we need to take formal board action on that, or?
I think that's within Tim's authority, but if there's a contract involved, I'm happy to look at it and bring it before this board if it needs to be before this board.
Or if there's any type of resolution that you would like that we could, I mean, I could ask for a consensus of the board at this time about the investment, but if you'd like, we could just do even if it's a, you know, pro forma resolution that you would have that we support the investment going forward, if that would help, or, I don't know, what's your pleasure?
Just direction.
Okay. Is there a consensus from the board to go ahead and make the investment to step up our membership in this going forward?
Yes.
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 I think I definitely see that we're getting value from the organization now, and I'm excited to support it as well, especially if the name's going to be changing.
And as it goes forward, there'll be other opportunities for us to step it up even more as we see things going forward. But you've come a long way. I mean, the numbers don't lie, and it's more than just the numbers, but the numbers are there. So, well, thank you very much for a very successful
Thank
year
you.
so far, and we look forward to having you back.
Yes, thank you. And our media release went out just this afternoon, and the Criterion was on it, and the 4th of July. You're all one of the few communities having 4th of July celebrations this year, so
Right.
I'm sure you'll see an uptick in your surrounding community residents coming here.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did she need a thumb drive back or anything, or does she have that? Okay. Annie, thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, the second item up for discussion is regarding recommended changes to Section 12-97 of the Village Code related to plat of survey submittals with building permit applications. We have a very detailed memo from our village planner, Kate Portillo. But Kate, if you want to summarize how it came to us and what your recommendation is, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you so much, President Garvey and trustees. Gonna try to navigate this. That's all right. Let's just zoom through it. Is it at the end? There we go. All right, we're on track. So, as you may be aware from this memo, this matter in front of you for discussion relates to a specific section of the code, 12-98, and this relates to plat of survey submittals with building permit applications. Do want to point out that Chapter 12, largely, when you take a close look at it, relates to the adoption of all of the building codes that took place last year. So the 2021 International Building Code, Residential Building Code. And if you saw me on my phone while other things were going on, I was doing a little quick additional supplemental research. So I do have some follow-up information based on some inquiries I received. So the permit application review currently necessitates as-built conditions that relate to calculating and confirming information such as building coverage maximum and green space minimums. And I while this is not entirely my wheelhouse, it's often that of my peers. I did jump on to the website to just do a quick review of which permits require a plat of survey and which do not. So generally speaking, a home, anything interior to the home would not. So that includes a basement remodel, a bathroom remodel, a kitchen remodel, windows and doors, a roof. And so those permit applications would not require a plat of survey. However, there are some others that we do ask for a plat of survey. Those would be a deck, a fence, flat work, a garage or accessory structure, swimming pool related to commercial signage. So I wanted to clarify that as we go through the discussion here. And so I, PowerPoint's trying to sneak ahead of me here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we left the mouse over there. All right. Sure.
Oh, yeah, but you gotta go.
You lose your mouse, things happen, so.
All right, I'm not touching it. So I did survey 12 communities, as you may have noticed, and it's a range of what communities are requesting. The most restrictive, I would say, would be North Riverside, which they're asking for a plat within 6 months of the permit being requested. Oak Park asks for one in the last year, and then the range of other plat standards found in these communities' codes, many of them do say current existing conditions, some say current plat of survey, and what staff has found is that essentially the type of permits that come in with applications, there's a range, and it can slow down the entire process. So when a plat comes in, it is, we've seen them anywhere from 20 to 30 years old, but most importantly, thank you, not showing the as-built conditions. So this change is being proposed to, it's just in a funny space tonight. There we go.
Keep clicking the one area that
Just for fun.
Temperamental mouse.
So this is the language that's being proposed to be changed. And to follow up a little further on what I was looking into, because Section 12 of the code largely captures the building codes and also has a lot of exceptions. This one section related to applications, if we were to change it, requests that a plat be 5 years old and shows the current as-built conditions. But what I want to follow up with is that in another portion of this code, 105.3.1, it's called Action on Application. It does say if the chief building inspector is satisfied that the work conforms to the requirements of the code. And then in section 107, there is another notations that says exception, the chief building inspector is authorized to waive the submission of construction documents or other data not required to be prepared by a registered design professional if it is found that the nature of the work applied for is such that reviewing of construction documents is not necessary to obtain compliance with this code. Lots of legal speak there. I also want to mention that the code speaks to a chief building inspector or designee, as it may be under our current circumstances. So hopefully I have provided enough supplemental information about what's being asked here, and that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kate. The language in red that we're talking about being prepared in the last 5 years that shows current as-built conditions. I know maybe the exceptions you just, but what if someone does an improvement, gets a survey and builds a new garage, and then 3 years later, add something else, is that going to require a new survey? Because, I mean, it's done, the first one's done with the last 5 years, but it's not going to show the current conditions. Is that a scenario where a new survey would be needed?
So my thought on that would be that it would, the permitting records would reflect that a garage had been approved. We ask for new structures to be shown on a current plat of survey. And in particular, if staff can use our mapping software, which includes aerials, to confirm that the plat received with the garage plus the garage are the current as-built conditions. If the homeowner were to say, be putting in a patio, I don't expect that we would require another plat of survey.
'Cause, I mean, I know there's an expense here for surveys and a lot of, I know you get a lot of calls asking, hey, do you have my survey from previous projects? And I know in past, we probably haven't been able to keep that, but I'm hoping that with our new system and new record keeping, that we might be able to, we'd have a copy of a survey on some, people just lose surveys and things like this. And I know we're not asking them just because we're trying to be difficult. We need them for a reason. And a lot of times people question, why do you need a survey? And I know, we talk about, we're very proud of, our stormwater management system and things. We have to calculate the green space and everything else. We've already seen the benefits that it's made in terms of when requiring that, that we don't let people pave over their entire yards and things. So it is important. And fences, the surveys are needed to make sure you're not on a neighboring property's fence line and things. So, board members have questions or comments?
Yeah, in the same realm of that question, if you have a plat of survey that's 7 years old, but it shows the current conditions, we would still require them to get a new plat.
That's a fair question, Trustee Cote. As this language is proposed, you could take the literal interpretation of that, but there are also these other sections of the code that would allow some flexibility. I hear your concerns. I could alternatively offer that, that you might note that the language from Oak Park said, or a plat of survey showing current conditions may be older than 5 years. We could alter that slightly to give some additional bandwidth on the plat of survey that we're asking for.
That might be a possible, I mean, because we all know the intent to have a survey that shows the current as-built conditions. So maybe if you'd feel comfortable, and if the board would feel comfortable with that language prepared in the last 5 years, or can be older if it shows the current conditions, that still gets us what we want, but doesn't weaken our enforcement position, I think.
I'm more concerned about the wording, the as-built conditions, the current as-built conditions. I think that that's the most important part here, because related to your question, President Garvey, if that garage came in, and it may have been sort of, sometimes they come in as sketches and things on these plans, and it's not necessarily, the as-built conditions, when a contractor's putting something in, aren't always exactly as they are on the plans. That's why they're called as-built. They can get shifted, and sometimes that can affect where a patio might be allowed or where the fence could be. So I think it's that the critical part of this really is the current as-built conditions. And maybe the timing is less critical.
I would agree with that. I had talked to Kate actually about some of these same things prior to the meeting. I believe the plot should show the as-built conditions. I think the year is irrelevant. If it's 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, there is a cost to the resident with it. But there was another part too, where reading this section, every applicant for a building permit, blah, 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 should have the plot of survey. So if you're applying for new windows, gutters, tuck pointing, that's a building permit. To require a resident to have in some towns, a 6-month-old plot of survey for something like that doesn't seem fair. That's where Kate brought up these other parts where the chief building inspector could waive that. I don't know, do we want it embedded in our code that way, or should it be more clear for some of these things? You don't need a plot of survey, and you certainly don't need one that's 5 years old, 6 months old, a year old, like some of these other towns, and they do require that. You know, my company works in a lot of other towns, and it almost seems like you have to jump through that hoop just to jump through that hoop, where it's irrelevant that it's a 6-month-old plot of survey for something that's very straightforward, that has nothing to do with as-built conditions. So maybe the wording on this needs to be tweaked a little bit, but I don't know that we want it where it's embedded in there where the chief building inspector can say, no, you don't need it.
So keep in mind that everything that's in black and the other sections that I referenced are already in our code adopted under the International Building Code. And I also just want to state for the record that I'm not proposing we make any changes to our building permit applications, which, as I mentioned earlier, interior remodels, roof, doors, windows, gutters, those things don't require a plat of survey presently, nor are we stating that they should.
So when a resident comes in to apply for one of those, is anyone showing up with a plat of survey because they've read this and think they need one?
In all honesty, Trustee Kluzny could not answer that because I'm typically
Sure.
not accepting the permit applications. But if you're not familiar, there's our building permit application, and then we also have checklists for each type of permit application. So what I did in order to confirm my categories here was I reviewed those checklists prior to the meeting to confirm what's on the checklist and what's not.
Are the checklist part of the code, though? I mean, I guess I'm hearing the concern. If someone is trying to be diligent and just goes and looks at their code and they read section 1297 and they're applying for a building permit, does someone just go out and get a survey because they think they have to? Is there any language to add in just that section, every applicant for a building permit that has a project that requires a plat of survey or something like that, that would just...
Yeah, check the checklist first.
We could certainly craft the language in
I
a way
just,
that
because I...
meets all these requests.
I mean, something, you know, we talked about some of the legalese and some of the other things, and it's like, if someone goes and reads this, it's every applicant for a building permit, and, I mean, any of the other permits that, you know, we talked about windows, doors, roofs, and stuff like this inside, you know, if someone just read this by itself, thinking, okay, I gotta get a survey for that, or we have rule followers in town and people that, you know, stick to the letter of everything, is if there's just a way to clarify that section without, you know, defeating the purpose of the section, maybe just stating, you know, where a plat of survey is required, it must be. And in terms of Trustee Ketchmark's recommendation or suggestion that it doesn't matter if it's in the past 5 years, if it shows the current as-built, what's your thought on that?
I think to Trustee Hendrick's point that as-built conditions are the main priority. The only other comment I would have on that is that from time to time, the survey that's being presented to staff with a building permit application is absent of the surveyor's seal or anything like that. So I think this covers that, even if we were to take out the time limit on it.
Can I offer something as well? I get concerned when we try to make too many changes with the standards, like if you said anything in black, here's from the International Building Code, right? Because if we change an internal process of using checklists on their application, then it's gonna state it in here, then we need to come back in here and make the change. It just causes a little more complexity of keeping things in line, because now you have two separate processes that you're trying to line up. So I would just say, as much as we, like, customize as little as possible in terms of it, maintaining this.
I guess the thing, we're going through a lot of changes in the community development department right now, and new people come in what's their guidance? You know, what did the chief building inspector do before? Did he or she require this? Did he not require that? It seems somewhere that should be spelled out where you have to have it. So in this particular case where you have changes, new people coming in, okay, maybe I do need a plot of survey for gutters.
So it was largely myself and the former chief building inspector who were performing reviews that necessitated a plan of survey. And we were requesting plats that did represent as-built conditions as needed, and particularly when it abutted stormwater or green space. And so the thought behind bringing this forward to the board is that from time to time, those conversations would require a lot of discussions because we didn't quite have the teeth to say as-built conditions. So if I'm hearing the feedback from the board, I would say that perhaps if we were going to minimize the changes, this language could instead be after the term on a form furnished by the village, when necessary, with a plat of survey made by a certified surveyor that shows the current as-built conditions. And I think that that might, in a very simple way, accomplish what I'm here before you asking. So the village staff had the opportunity to point to the code.
Sounds great.
Good qualifier, yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps. I mean, because, you know, looking at the language from the other towns, when I first looked at it, I thought, wow, some of these are pretty broad, but except for North Riverside saying it has to be within 6 months, which seems in Riverside similar, but maybe that's why LaGrange just says plat must show current existing conditions, and LaGrange Park has showing locations and dimensions of all existing structures. As Trustee Hendricks correctly pointed out, the existing built as is the most important thing. So if it has that, and staff could determine it, I think that makes sense. Is the board okay with the proposed changes from Kate? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll put this up for the next meeting for changes. Thank you, Kate. Okay, that ends the items we have under regular business. At this point, I'll open it up to public comment. Any public comment from my right side? Nick? No? Nothing? Anybody on my left side? Okay, hearing no public comment, is there any need for executive session, Tim?
No, sir.
Okay, so at 7:33 PM, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting.
So moved. Second.
The motion was made by trustee Kaluzny, second by trustee Naramatsu. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu?
Aye.
Trustee Kohuli?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
We're adjourned at 7:34. Thank you for coming.